life can hit like a sledgehammer. But guess what? We hit back harder. Welcome to Affirm That Sh. Somehow I thrived. I'm Jennifer Rogers, your no BS guide to turning life's toughest moments into badass victories. Ready to flip the script? Let's affirm that life can be a bitch, but somehow we thrive. Welcome to today's episode of Affirm That Sh. Somehow I thrived. Today I have the honor of sitting with a truly remarkable woman and mom, Debbie Simmons. Debbie's life has been marked by an unimaginable loss and incredible triumph. After losing her biological quadruplets, she stepped into the calling of motherhood in a brand new way, adopting not one, not two, not even three, but 9 children, each with their own stories of trauma. But out of her journey, she's not only developed motherhood in a new light, she now supports thousands of families who have discovered her own divine purpose. Please join me in saying Debbie's affirmations, and we'll meet her in a moment. My heartache is real, and I allow myself to feel the depth of this pain without judgment. My heartache is real, and I allow myself to feel the depth of this pain without judgment. My heartache is real, and I allow myself to feel the depth of this pain without judgment. I release the pressure to be okay and instead embrace each day as it comes, step by step. I release the pressure to be okay and instead embrace each day as it comes, step by step. I release the pressure to be okay and instead embrace each day as it comes, step by step. I trust that my life is divinely aligned, that every heartbreak, every miracle, every messy middle has prepared me to serve with grace. I trust that my life is divinely aligned, that every heartbreak, every miracle, every messy middle has prepared me to serve with grace. I trust that my life is divinely aligned, that every heartbreak, every miracle, every messy middle has prepared me to serve with grace. Stay with us. After this break, we're going to meet Debbie.
Hi, my name is Connie Walton,
And I'm Jennifer Rogers.
and together we are the co-founders of the Sacred Uturi Collective.
Sacred Uturi Collective invites you to come spend time with us March 2026 in this beautiful home in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. It's a retreat where you will find yourself in a quiet space with your soul sisters, reliving, replenishing, and reigniting your soul.
To find out more, visit our website at sacreduturicollective.com to snag your ticket to this beautiful retreat. It's a once in a lifetime and you don't want to miss it.
Welcome, Debbie, to today's episode of Affirm That Sh. Thank you for being our guest.
I'm excited to be here with you guys.
And Debbie, I want to dive right in. With your introduction, we talk about the loss of your biological quadruplets.
Mhm.
That is such a deep loss. Can you take us back to that moment and walk us through?
Mhm. Yes, I'd love to. First, I'm gonna back up just a little bit more so you can get a little of the history writing into it. And what I like to tell people is I had this dream of being this young grandma. So I knew I had to have a plan and find a guy, get married, fall in love, have children, then I could be this young grandma, right? And I'm a girl that gets things done. So I was like, this is my objective, right? And when you've got plans, you get expectations, right? And so I found the guy in college, got married, and everything was going great. And then we went through about 4 years of infertility, of nothing, of trying over and over and over again. And that in itself was a real challenge for my identity as a woman, as a person, and just like, oh my gosh, what do I do with that? And I'm a girl that gets things done. So I'm like going, I can't do this. So I felt like a total failure. And on our very, very last attempt, we got pregnant. And originally, they diagnosed us with twins. And then I had an attempted miscarriage and found out that it was the four. And so everything that I had figured out, I was like, okay, well, at least if I have four, I'm on track to young grandma sooner, right? And so I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll get this done.
Right, my goals are
But
taking place
yes,
now. We're
yes,
here now.
I'm back on track.
Right.
And so four babies means lots of grandbabies. That's wonderful, And so I was ecstatic, but at the same time, what you realize when you have a high risk pregnancy is like, oh my gosh, every day is pretty amazing to make it to the next day. So you learn very quickly to live and focus on the moment because I don't know about you, but most people don't spend their days eating for five. And that's a pretty big time consuming job, but we would go and we did everything that we thought we needed to do. And we're progressing along. And the goal was 30 weeks. We got to get to 30 weeks because if we could get to 30 weeks, then their lungs would be developed enough for them to be born at that point. And around 24 weeks, we're making a trip to the hospital to do a tour because I was huge and could hardly walk. And on our way down the freeway, the traffic backed up and we got rear ended. And couldn't feel anything, but I was like, I really feel bad. And I told my husband, let's go ahead and go to the hospital. And we got there and I was having contractions 2 minutes apart. So they checked me in, and I'm going, it's too soon, and let's get this under control. But, you get that anxiety and that nervousness, and can I make it? And they got everything under control. And the next day, they let me go home. But then we realized to make it to the next day was a miracle. And so we just kept walking in faith and trusting. And at 26 weeks, I woke up and was walking around the house and ended up with a pool of water. And I was like, is that my bladder? Am I not going to be able to control my bladder because these kids are so big now?
Right.
But I
Right.
realized it was the sac rupturing and one of the sacks. And I was like, oh, that's what that is. And so we went back to the doctor. And of course, what did the doctor do? They said, you have to go to the hospital. And the goal was go to the hospital, stay in the bed, um, don't get up until the babies are born. And the goal is 30 weeks. I'm at 26 weeks. And so we get there. And that was one of the, few times that I totally lost it. I mean, like, blubbering mess. For a girl who has it all together and runs her life really well, I'm like, this is out of control. And I'm like, I wasn't ready for the hospital. The hospital wasn't ready for me. To me, it was like I had just been given a prison sentence. That bed was going to be a prison sentence. And, I'm like, you can't get up to go to the bathroom. You get everything. It's just humiliating everything. So
It's
I
just
told,
taking everything away from you as you're
yes,
preparing to enter motherhood. It's been
yes,
stripped away.
yes, and I want to do what's right for the kids, right? But I'm like going, really? I don't. I have to stay here and I can't get up and go to the bathroom. Oh, this is terrible, or wash my hair or whatever, you have to do
Well,
it all.
and we've all heard we heal better at home, right?
Right. Yeah.
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 And now
So
I'm
they have
stuck in
they
this
have
bed.
they have me stuck in this bed. So I told my husband, I'm like, please stay this first night with me. I know you can't stay every night. Please stay this first night with me. And so he did. And I had called my parents, because what do girls do? They call their parents and go, I need you to take care of me. I don't care if I've been married 12 years. I came
Right.
to take care of me. And my mom said, we'll leave very early in the morning and we'll be there like around 9 or 10 the next day. And I said, okay, and we'll help you get settled and all this stuff. So the very next morning was the first time I had ever felt contractions, but I knew immediately when I woke up that I was having contractions. And I looked at my husband and I said, you need to get to the doctor because I'm having contractions and this is a problem. And the doctor came in there and confirmed that I was having contractions. And I had had my cervix stitched to provide a better opportunity for the weight of the children to be bared. And one of them had stuck a hand through the stitched cervix and was kind of waving to the world, hello, I'm coming. And I just was like looking at the doctor and I'm like, it's just too soon. I need you to push that hand back and let's just pretend that none of this happened. And we'll wait till the 30 weeks. And she's like, you can't do that. You're going to have to deliver the one. And my husband, I was like, "Can they survive?" And she's like, "Probably not." And at that point, technology was not where they could save them. If that baby would be born now, they would be able to save that child probably. And so I had to go into surgery to have the stitches removed, and then come back to the room, and I waited. And a little bit later, little Zach arrived, and they placed him in my arms and I held him and I rocked him and I left him until he drifted off into eternity. And then we waited because we had to see what my body would do. Would my body reject the other ones or would it allow me to carry them? And so the day continues to pass and I continue to get sicker and sicker. And the doctor eventually comes back in the room and she says, you're going to have to induce because I've got 104 fever. My blood work's a mess. I'm getting very ill. And she's like, you have to induce. And so we did. And a little while later, Josh, Nate, and Chris showed up on the scene. And each of them were placed in my arms. And I loved them and I held them and I rocked them until each of them passed into eternity. And that night, after a very, very long day. That night, my husband and I were in the room, and this should be a time of celebration. And here we are discussing planning funerals for babies. And I'm going, this wasn't on my list. And not only that, this dream of being a young grandma, this person I thought I'm called to be, I, I've lost. That's gone up in smoke too, right? And so I'm not just sitting there grieving the boy's loss, I'm grieving the loss of who I believe I'm supposed to be and will never potentially be, right? And so I remember just sitting there and I just tried to figure out how in the world am I going to make it through this? I don't understand. This is too hard. I don't know. I just don't know. And I remember crying out to God and just going, I just need a plan. I need like the roadmap because
Right. Give
I
me a
don't get this.
direction here.
Yes, I don't get this and I don't understand this and help me. And I didn't get that answer. What I got was, hey, you don't need the whole plan. I got you. Trust me and take the next best step. And I'm like, for real? That's all I get. I'm like, I want like a burning bush, or this Google Doc straight from heaven with the instructions and nothing. And I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, what's the next best step? I don't even know.
I
And
don't know
so,
what that means for
yes. And so I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, all right, maybe I should, And for me, I'm not like some superwoman. I just like, when I was at home and I was struggling after all this, and, you know, I'm just like, the next best step might be literally to just pull the covers off of my head, go brush my teeth, and walk around for 3 or 4 minutes and then get back into bed that day. And that's okay. And then other days, maybe I could get up and do something around the house, or other days I could get up and do whatever. And then eventually I could go back to work, and eventually I could do these things, but all I knew was I needed to figure out for me at that moment what the next best step was so that I could take it. Because here's the question: when you face like a big loss like this, the number one question that kind of comes to my mind all these times is like, why me? Why God? Why now? Why my boys? Why? And what I've learned is, if anybody would have showed up in my room, God himself, and stood in front of me and told me the answer to why, I wouldn't have liked it, and it wouldn't have satisfied. It wouldn't bring my boys back. It wouldn't solve my pain. And I would have just been like, that's not good enough. I need another why. But why keeps me stuck. I can't figure out. So this next best step, what it does is it at least gets me moving, and it changes my question. So I have to lay down that why, and I have to start asking the question, how am I going to survive?
And
And
Debbie, I have a question because
yes,
you shared the three boys' names, Josh, Nathan, and Chris. What was
Zach was the first one.
Zach?
Little Zach. Yeah. Yeah. And so I just started asking that question of how do I survive, and we did some really fascinating things, just because we felt God kind of leading us to, but I just knew nowhere else to turn other than God. And because I'm like, I tried everything, to figure out how to make all this happen and to be the young grandma. And um, when we came home, interestingly enough, I felt very compelled to write a birth and a death announcement that we sent to everyone that we could think of, like our Christmas list. We just sent it to everyone. And that was such a wonderful choice because not everybody knew I'd even gone to the hospital, right? And they didn't know. But so here they get this letter that says, we welcome into the world these babies, and at the same time, we lost them. I didn't have people call me and go, well, how's the pregnancy going? Because they knew. And so it was such a blessing to have done that. And then we did memorial services. And the fascinating thing about the memorial service was, um, I told my husband the morning of it, I was like, I just feel like I need to talk at it. And he's looking at me like, are you crazy? And I'm like, probably so. But we went and talked to the pastor, and I was like, look, I think I'm supposed to say something. And he's like, okay. And he goes, I'll look at you when I'm almost finished. And if you shake your head, then I'll let you come up and say something. And if you just shake your head, no, we'll just keep on going. And I said, okay. So he did the whole thing. And he looked at me, and I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to say something. And in my head, I'm going, what am I fixing to say?
What am I going to say? Right.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I doing? But anyway, I got up there, and what was very important for me, and I think it's important for all of us as we walk through grief or difficult things, is helping people know how to help us. Okay. So, one of the big deals for me was I really didn't want people's pity. I wanted their love and their support. But, like a lot of them just feel like, oh, poor little Debbie, and I'm like, I just, no,
That
no.
feels yucky, right?
Yes,
Give
yes,
me the
yes,
compassion, give me the
that,
understanding, give me the grace.
yeah,
Don't pour the syrup and honey on me.
yes. And so what I did when I got up there is very interesting because I was like, hey, this is a very difficult thing for us. And we appreciate that you guys are here and that you're loving us and that you're supporting us and you're praying and you're coming alongside of us. I said, but I need you to know I do not want your pity. I said, this was a very difficult thing to go through, and we would rather have loved and lost than never loved. Okay. So even though this is hard, and I would say, but my boys have been perfect children. And most of us can't say that we've had perfect. I can't say this anymore, but that most of us
For the
have.
first four, those guys were
Yeah,
great, right?
but
No discipline problems at all.
that's right. And all they did was love. right?
Right,
And the time that we had. And I said at that point, I was a perfect mom
right.
because all I did was love them and care for them and try and do the absolute best by them. And I said, so this isn't a bad thing, it's a hard thing. And I said, we have a whole new year of grief to go through as we experience life. But I want you to pray for us and I want you to come alongside us. And I want you to know that I would do it again, even if the outcome was the same.
And
And I,
Debbie,
yeah.
your heartache is such a gift for you to be able to take that and to verbalize it.
Hmm.
Because I'm
Hmm.
sure that there were many that wanted to say something to you,
Hmm.
wanted
Yes.
to comfort you and your husband, but then where's that line? Do I say something? What do I say? So you standing up gave them that permission to just be present with you.
Yes,
And
and it was great, and and it's not funny, but funny at the moment, but it is funny looking back, is that as we did a receiving line, everybody that's coming up to me is bawling their eyes out, and I'm like, "You're gonna be okay."
you're comforting them.
I'm like, "It's okay, you're gonna be okay." They're like, "Thank you for sharing." I'm like, but it opens us up to being real and understanding how to help me, and and they all have pains in their journeys. It's just different, but I'm like, it's still pain. Pain is pain, and so we just went on a fascinating journey after that. Because once we kind of moved through this kind of concept of how do I survive in this first year of learning how to do that, what I found is I just took the next best step, next best step, next best step. Sometimes I went backwards a little bit, then I started going forward again. And I just go on this journey. And then the question became different. It became, how do I thrive? Because here was the deal, I did not want to be 30, 35 years down the road from when my boys were born and stuck. I just did not want to be stuck in the same emotions. I wanted to live, I wanted to feel joy. I wanted to have hope. And I just said, okay, God, I'm going to trust you with my story. How you say you redeem stories. And I said, this story, I want you to redeem. I give you my story. Tell me how you want to use it. And that led me into being able to work with other people who had lost children or lead grief groups or ultimately, leave my career as an engineer and go into ministry full time. And ultimately, like we talked about, it led us down this course of adoption, which got me grandbabies. So I have 15 grandbabies. So I did get to be the young grandma. It just didn't come the way I planned. And those kids have taught us a lot about life and about survival and how do the resilience that it takes to overcome their traumas. But we did that. And then God gave us the opportunity to start Anchor Point, which is a ministry that serves thousands of people every year and will outlive us, and all of that started out of that painful place. And so I just have really appreciated the journey, even though it's been a very hard journey. And I go, I want people to know we don't have to stay stuck, and our life can be good. And it's a journey to get there. And each of us take that journey looks different for each one of
Mhm.
us, but it still has common points along the way, and that we can be encouragements to each other. And people reached back and pulled me along, and it's my job to reach back and pull other people along and go, come on, we can do this, we can figure our way through. So
Debbie, I love that. And I love the anchor analogy
mhm.
because we're still here. We're still strong. Doesn't matter the rip tides that's going on around us. We've got you and we can be the calm in the storm.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
you are correct. Had you not experienced that, the work you do today would look
Mhm.
very different.
Well, I
And
probably would still be an engineer.
you would still be an
Yeah,
engineer.
yeah,
And do
yeah.
you think Debbie today would see her life as an engineer?
I don't know. I mean, it's really fascinating because the journey God's had me on kind of looks like this from a career path. And I'm like, that is not straight. But I'm going, he's used everything I've picked up along the way in different career pieces to like make it a perfect fit for being a founder of a ministry and the CEO and all this type of stuff. I couldn't have picked up those skills otherwise. So, I mean, it's fascinating when you learn to trust, and I don't have to
And
have all
that's
the,
what I was going to say,
yeah,
trusting that faith and leaning
yeah,
in and relying, but also being open to this was not easy. And so I
yeah.
love that you're saying, there's the days that I wanted to pull the blankets over my head. And then there are days that I just need to, get up and wash a couple of dishes. My family still needs to eat here. I still
Yeah.
have some responsibilities, but
Hmm.
allowing yourself to feel that struggle, feel that
Sure.
pain, and then use it as a trajectory forward.
Yeah, and
Because,
even now, I mean, like, I go it's important for us to put, stakes in the ground or memory markers. So, like,
yes,
I had a ring made that had this it's I just call it my mother's ring, but it has the boys' birthstones on it, and it has my birthstone, and that's a ring I've had for 30 plus years, and it just reminds me that this is mine, and, this is another cool way God kinda redeemed our story. My boys were born on April 1st of 1995. And when we adopted our first sibling group of 5, they came into our house on April 1st of 2002. And that's 7 years to the date. And that's a very biblical kind of number. And it's like,
yes, 7 is very spiritual based.
yes,
Yes.
and he gave us 5 instead of 4, right? So they weren't replacements by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like God's like, "Okay, you've been faithful. Here's how we're gonna go through this." And I'm going, adoption wasn't on the top of my list, but it came the top of my list. And so, we would have never experienced that, unique opportunity if we hadn't have lost the boys, and everything. So it's just being open to where he leads you and kind of what he's doing and going, okay, I trust you, God. You are a good father, and a good father does what's best for the kids. And so I'm going to trust that you're going to lead me where I need to be. And that takes a lot of weight and pressure off of me for
Mhm.
having to feel like I know it all or have to know how to work my way through my grief or my hard times, because I can just go, okay, God, I don't know what I'm doing today.
What is my step today?
Yeah.
Debbie, I know there are going to be listeners and viewers that resonate with you through their own losses
Mhm.
and through their own struggles of parenthood, no matter what that loss was for them. Can you share with us today how those that are interested in working with you or finding more out about your ministry, how they can
Mhm.
connect with you?
Yes, sure. Well, first of all, I have a free gift for everyone that I think would be a wonderful first step.
Oh,
I
thank
have a
you.
book called The Heart of Legacy. And it is about, because after we lost the boys, everything became about legacy, like what eternity matters. And so if we want to leave a legacy when we die, we have to live one now, right? So everything became really intentional. So I've written a book about that walks through this whole journey and that next step process and all that good stuff. And they can have that free. All they have to do is go to theheartoflegacy.com and they can get that book for free. It is a wonderful next step if you don't know what you're doing or you don't know how to figure your way. So that is just something that I like to bless people with. And it's wonderful for understanding that. And you also get to see a little glimpse into the ministry that we created and how those lives have worked through their next steps because they have a lot of trauma and tragedy in those. And so I'd encourage that. And then from a coaching and speaking type side, you just go to thedebbie.simmons.com and all the social media handles are there. You can find them all and come on this crazy journey with me because I love to walk alongside people because I think that's what it takes for us to figure out how to overcome these challenging things is God wants us to do it in community. And a lot of times we feel like we need to isolate, but isolation actually totally derails us. So we need loving people that are walking alongside of us to help us figure our way.
I couldn't agree more, Debbie. And thank
Hmm.
you for that wonderful gift, not just for our listeners and viewers, but for everyone that comes across
Hmm.
and for you taking the lead through your heartache and your pain
Hmm.
and building something beautiful. And I just want to tell you from my heart to yours, thank you for being our guest today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You just took another step towards owning your story and thriving against all odds. This is Affirm That Shit. Somehow I thrived. If you're ready to keep kicking ass, subscribe now and let's keep breaking barriers together. Remember, life's a battle, but somehow you'll thrive.